Well, hey guys, welcome back to Shop Dog Fabrication. So today, as you can see, the engine's still not in the car, and the reason being is I would need to pull the transmission out. Two reasons. One, it's leaking and I cannot figure out what the leak is. So I'm just going to take the transmission out since the engine's out, and I'm going to seal everything up. And I'll go through all of the areas that are potential leak areas on a 904, and for the most part a 727. Now I have done a couple things to mine. Like I've got a different oil pan on it. It's got a drain plug. I also have mounted a temperature sensor in that aftermarket drain pan. Now this is a steel pan that runs one extra cord in it. They're only like 70 bucks if you wanted to upgrade to a different transmission pan. And I can put that link in the description of the one I'm running if that's something you guys want to do. But today's video is about basically, once I get it out, I'm going to go all over where all the potential leak areas are. And then in another video, I'm going to show you how you can tear this down and do an inspection. At least, now mine's only got about 3,000 miles on it. It's got quite a few passes on it. But I want to pull it down because the leaks, you know, I don't know if I ran it a little low or anything, and I just want to double check the clutches to make sure the clutches don't have any slight burnishing to them, you know, where they're starting to get burnt, a little crispy, that kind of thing. And so I just want to pull the front, you know, pull the valve body off, and then, you know, loosen the bands up, pull the front pump off. I'll pull, you know, the forward and reverse drums out. Just inspect the clutches real quick. I'm not going to pull any of the seals or anything. Like I said, it's a fresh, you know, rebuild. And so I just want to take a look at it. But that'll be in a different video. But anyway, let me get the transmission out, and then we'll kind of go over all the leak areas and what I'm going to do to seal these leak areas. All right, guys. So I've got the transmission pulled. I'm going to go over all the locations that are potential transmission leaks. And now there's a couple areas that you may not have that I'll have because I'm running a different transmission pan. And just to give you an idea, you know, this here, I welded in a bung so I can put in a transmission temp sensor. And then the other thing, it's maybe hard to see there, is that is a drain pan plug where I can drain the fluid. And I definitely found a problem with the drain pan plug. I'll show you a picture. I'll put it in right here. And as you saw, that basically the plastic in there had cracked and it was causing a leak. So there's a couple leaks on this transmission that I'm trying to figure out. I found one of them there. Obviously, here's where your dipstick goes in. You want to make sure you have a good, you know, O-ring in here and that it seals up. Coming kind of to the front. All right, coming around over here to the front, obviously you can have front pump seal. Now, the other thing too is if you notice this is kind of the vent hole. So if you let your vehicle sit for a couple of months, as the converter, you know, drains back the fluid, you know, you could have a little bit seep out and then, you know, seep out the inspection cover down here. So if that's what happens, you know, that's what's going on. It's most likely, you know, your converter's draining back into the transmission, it's overfilling, and then you're having a little bit seep out. Now, a couple other areas, we'll come over to this side that could be leaking. Now I'm running, not hard lines, but I am running braided steel lines. And so I've got these AN fittings here, NPT to 6 AN fittings installed. You know, and it could be leaking from these. So normally what I'll use is anywhere I'm making a connection like that, and I'm going to make sure I do it on the transmission plug and stuff going forward, is I'll use this, this stuff. This is a high temperature thread sealant by Permatex. It works really good. So I'll use that on these fittings. I'll use it, you know, on this. I'll use it here. You know, anywhere that I've got a fitting. I'm going to use it also back here for my speedometer cable. Now the other thing could be is this seal is worn out, right? This is where your gear shift selector, okay, where your linkage connects. There is a seal right here that could be leaking. Now I had mentioned it already, but basically from here there's an O-ring on this, and I'll pull this out here in a minute and I'll show you the O-ring. It could be leaking from that O-ring area, or obviously from this connection too. Again, I'll use this. But you can see here is this is your speedometer gear, okay? And there is actually an O-ring down in here as well that I forgot about. So if you have a transmission leak from this area, there is an O-ring in here you need to replace. And again, that is part of this kit. So you'll see in my kit here, here's my correct gear for a 28-inch tall tire. Here's the O-ring that will go right here on the housing. And then right in here, I'll try to give you guys a picture here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but inside there is this little O-ring here, all right? So if you have a transmission leak, it could be coming from this O-ring or from this area. Sealant on that thread connection as well. Now, I'll have to pull this apart to show you, but right here, I'll take a picture or I'll insert the video. But under here, there is actually somewhere that could leak. There's like a gasket there. And I think this is also one of my leak areas. So I've got the transmission cross member removed, and see this little plate right here with those two screws? Yep, there is a gasket right there that could also be leaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off and either make a new gasket or silicone it something, a combination of both, but I'm also gonna seal that up. I don't think I've got that sealed very well. Now there is a gasket here too, between the case halves and the tail shaft housing. That could be causing a problem. And then obviously your tail shaft seal here. So those are really the big major areas that could be leaking on your transmission. I guess is really the transmission pan gasket now I think about it. And I actually bought a different transmission pan gasket. It's like a reusable one instead of the cork one that you may get or the rubber one. I bought one that is supposedly reusable this time, and I'll show you that here in a second as well. All right, so guys, here's the transmission pan gasket that I'm going with. You can see here, it is a kind of a metal, well, it's maybe hard to see, but there's a metal center. It's got a coating on the outside, and then you can see it's got this, I guess, red or orangish color that goes on around the bolt holes in the pan. As you can see here, it says that, gasket installs dry, no sealant, will not split, during installation, that kind of deal. It is made by a company called Lube Locker, and you can see the part number right there for the 904. I'm sure they probably have one similar for a 727. So I'm going to try this pan gasket on my transmission to seal it up and help it prevent it from leaking. All right, everybody. So, I hope this little video gives you an idea of where all the potential transmission leaks are that you could experience, on your transmission. So I know that most of you aren't going to want to pull your transmission out like I did. I had the engine out already because I was rebuilding it, and it was easy to do. But what I would recommend that you do is get some brake clean after you drive it for a few minutes, and it kind of gets cycled up. Clean it thoroughly, the whole area. The transmission, blow it down, wipe it down real good. And then, just kind of let it drip. It may take a few hours before it starts to drip. But let it drip just a little bit, and then start, taking your flashlight and looking around. I would recommend you get a really good flashlight so you can really see the area. But hopefully that will give you, some ideas on the potential leak areas that you could be having. Like I said, after you drive it for a little bit, wipe it down real good. Hose it down with brake clean, wipe it down, and then let it sit for a little bit. Flat ground. If you want to put it on 4 jack stands, so you can crawl under it real easy, that's perfectly fine. But, put all 4 up so that it's level and not, at an angle. That way, with it being level, at least it's going to drip straight down and not kind of run backward down the transmission and give you a false area where it could be leaking from. That's why I say put all 4 jack stands up so you can crawl under it and then look for it real good. So I hope this little video of potential leak areas helps you. Identify and fix your leak. So these are the things that I'm going to go through to seal mine up real good to make sure I don't have any additional leaks. Thanks for watching, guys. As they say, if you like what I'm putting out, share it with your friends. Please like it, please subscribe. It helps my views improve and get noticed by more potential people that will, that are like-minded and want to see what's going on. So thank you for taking the time and watching. You guys have a great day. Hope you find your problem. And hey, have fun in the shop, man.